Let's get it. Shake it like understand who I is. Not that many gon' do it like this. Bob your head, you can hear my shit, but I'm on my shit. I ain't had no chill. I'm who I are. I'm who I is.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? We live up in this thing. What is happening? It is Saturday, April the 29th, 2023, and TDG is live up in this thing one more again with another live stream. I am one half of the Dating Game King.
And I am the other half, Sean.
Hey, man, we've been putting out these live streams for the viewers, and all we ask, all we require is one small thing.
Hit that like and that subscribe button.
Yep, we're streaming across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If there's a like button, find it, hit it. We thank you. All right, Sean, man, you hit me up. Tonight's live was a little bit impromptu. It wasn't on the normal calendar of recording, so to speak, but you overheard the conversation between pro footballer, retired NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe and comedian / actor, twice married and divorced, Steve
/
Harvey.
Family Feud host / radio
/ radio personality. And you was like, yo, do you have time to record tonight? And I said, Sean, for you, absolutely. There's a video that's been going around. We're not quite sure who all has seen it, but we're definitely going to talk about it. Did you watch the entire podcast or video between Shannon Sharpe and Steve Harvey?
I think it's like 2 or 3 hours, I think. Not yet.
I did. See, I watched my videos on 1.5x speed. I watched it. What I found interesting, so Shannon Sharpe, he kind of has these regular conversations with people of prominence. He hasn't had anybody that doesn't have any type of notoriety about themselves. What I find interesting is that the more episodes that I watch, especially with certain people, Shannon Sharpe he doesn't just talk sports. He talks relationships and stuff in general. But in this particular episode, he spent almost over half the time about relationship dynamics. And Shannon Sharpe is somebody who I don't think he's ever been married. He said very publicly that I know he's had a lady that he was rocking with that it didn't work out. And he's kind of got this, if I were to be so bold, he kind of has a MGTOW mindset, in my opinion.
I thought he was married because in part of this interview, I don't know if it's in this clip or not, but he was talking about divorce and he said someone wanted divorce, so he just gave him a divorce. I guess he didn't fight it, so I don't know.
Yeah. So I listened to that episode and what he was talking about. He was saying how he knew somebody that was in the process of getting a divorce, and he offered to, I guess finances were kind of the hindrance. He offered to pay to help speed up the other person's divorce. I don't think Shannon Sharpe's ever been married in a public court type setting.
Okay.
Yep.
To me.
All right. So you already know how we start off our clips, man. Go ahead and say the line, Sean.
Well, before dudes and any way further, we're going to jump on into it.
These young boys today, what do she bring to the table? The hell you mean, man? What do your ass bring to the table? You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you.
Let's stop that right there. Okay, so that's one of the conversations that we hear all of the time. It's one of the talking points that people have. And in my opinion, it's an interesting talking point. I heard somebody say that point's been over-talked. I don't think so. I think we're still in a dynamic of a shift and with the genders, right? Because if you go back 50 years ago, really, it was far, but it's kind of like just yesterday, you didn't see the type of equality that we have right now, right? So in the past, when you talking 60s, 70s, 80s, like let's go back there for a second. Equality looked a lot different. It just wasn't that long ago that women weren't allowed to vote, right? It wasn't just that long ago that, black folks didn't have the same rights and stuff as other people here in the US. And what do you bring to the table now that you have equality, right? I think it's a fair question. I think for people that want to have a bit of a traditional thing, right? You still can ask that question of what do you bring to the table? If you want me to be a provider and a protector, I should bring that to the table. And what the other person, if they're looking for something traditional, this is just me talking here. It should be, I'll take care of XYZ. But what we're seeing a lot of is I am the table without talking or bringing anything tangible to that conversation. So what do you have to add to that, Sean?
I think it's a very fair question to ask whoever, whether it be male or female. It's a fair question to ask. What am I getting out of this deal? What am I getting out of this pair up? You know, am I getting something that's going to be worth it to me? Because nobody wants to shack up with someone and get used and get nothing out of it. Everyone wants something, whether it's money, whether it's protection, whether it's being provided for. Or whether it's someone wants kids, other one doesn't, but they're like, okay, we'll still have kids because it's more of a you thing, and I'm willing to do it for you. There's some sort of trade off, or I don't want to say barter. Barter is the wrong word, but everyone wants something out of the deal. There's very few people in this world that's just going to say, okay, here you go, take whatever you want. I want nothing in return.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to play it back a bit. Let me see if I could go back here and then bring it up on the screen, because the last part that Steve just said I thought was absolutely stupid. But before I do, shout out to Grooming and Reviews 101 and God Happened to Me, both over on Facebook. Salute to y'all. Thank you for popping in. But this second part, this is the part that I really had an issue with.
What do your ass bring to the table? You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you.
He just said, and I quote, "You have another woman that can come to the table and bring another you." I heard that and I paused it. I paused the live stream. I started laughing because I'm like, "Boo, Mr. Harvey, Stephen Harvey, whatever your name is. You just said that what she brings to the table is somebody who can make another you." Sean?
Right.
Basic biology, right?
Go ahead. Lay it on us, take us to church or take us to biology class.
If I am a male who can procreate and procreate with one person, it takes that one person to incubate the me about 9 to 10 months. That's the average time, right?
10, 8 to 9.
8 to 9. Okay.
Yeah.
8 to 9 months. I can do that with just that one particular person. And that's that block of time that they can't have nobody else's kid but mine. Yet, as long as my swimmers are swimming, I could go here, Keisha, Tanisha, Rhonda, Felicia, Diane, Felicia, Rhonda,
Nice.
Keisha, and have 13 other me's. I could have 13 other me's in a year. Okay. So what Steve was trying to say was that it makes that person special because she can make another one of you. I would argue that I'm not saying I'm more special, but to me, the point isn't the same because I could still turn around and have 14 more other me's within that same time span, right? So what he said to me is moot.
It's a two-way street, a bridge, right? It sets up a connection both ways.
That doesn't make the other person more special, but one could argue that because I can, skeet, and create 15 more me's in the same year, that might make that dynamic a little bit different. What say you?
Yeah, so while I was listening to this part, I was walking to get coffee. And when he said that, I literally stopped in my tracks. And if there was a camera watching me, like, or above me, it was one of those times in the movies you see they get that epiphany moment. And there's like, I was like, really? That's what we're going with? That she can make the child or she can bring another me into the world? Last time I checked, it took two to tango. You need my seed, my hot sauce, my whatever you want to call it, to make another child. You can't just make another child by yourself, just like I can't make a child by myself. It takes both of us to make that child. So once again, moot point. It's not something that either of us can win if we're trying to bait.
Yep. So to God happened to me said, I missed the whole video. You actually didn't. We were just at the very beginning. We started it from the point of Mr. Harvey saying that the young kids basically got it all wrong, and that in the conversation of men asking women what they bring to the table, he's saying that he basically came back and said, fool, like you got somebody that can make another one of you, and implying that, you know, that's special, like that's what she brings to the table. Grooming and Review said, oh God, no one is bad. 14 people will be way too much king for the world. Hey, look, maybe the world needs a little bit more kings out there. Unfortunately, scientifically, for me, that ain't possible because, you know, your boy got the snip. So do you have anything else to add to that part?
Not on this particular point, but I was going to say we got to do a what do you call it, a check-in with Grooming Reviews to see if he changed his profile. Not today, not tonight, but we're going to have to schedule to see if you changed your profile, what kind of results you've gotten, because we got to see what happened. We got to compare, you know?
Yes. We have been talking in the background. He's definitely down for doing it. I'd say, hey, Grooming and Reviews 101, let's have that conversation here in about 2 weeks or so, man. I'll link out. We'll make sure that we can get our schedules to sync up and get that update. All right.
What else she need to slide up to the table with? What about your job? What happened to men who were supposed to be responsible? Do you know that it's our job to take care of a woman and some children, to have a family? That's our damn job.
Pause.
Yeah. What you got? Oh, here we go. Flag on the play.
The funny thing is, it's so well outlined in society what a man's job is to do in a relationship. But when a man asks a simple question, what do you bring to the table, which is what he's basically asking, what's your job? What do you bring to our relationship? It becomes almost, if not an argument, a negative talking point, or they see it as derogatory. But the thing is, you know what you're going to get out of a good man. You can get protection, someone who's going to provide for you, someone who can provide for your kids, and you know that solid foundation as well. But when you ask, what am I going to get from you? It's a problem. We just want to know that we're going to get that peace that we all say we want. We're gonna get those home cooked meals. Maybe not 7 days a week. Maybe not even 5 days a week. But you know that's part of the deal that we look for, because if we're out there protecting and providing and bringing home the bacon, you know you got to cook that bacon. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. We have a comment here that I want to highlight. God happened to me. Shout out to her. Said that Steve sounds like he's, and I'm emphasizing this, simply catering to his market, aka women. He's always done that. He's built a brand around that, which has been, you know, interesting to me. I'll say this, and I'll say it publicly, like, me having a divorce translates to I had a failed marriage. It was a failed marriage. It was a failed relationship, right? Steve Harvey is out here writing books about relationships and stuff. One could say you could call him the expert of it because he's failed twice, right? He's on his third marriage. Oh, well, 3, 4.
He's on his fourth marriage, yeah.
Good night. I know it's one of them. I know it's more than 2. The general consensus is that it is more than 2. So, hey, maybe that does make him qualified to grift and go out there and cater to a certain market. It's just, what he's talking about, though, to me, like what God happened to me said, she just flat out said he's wrong. Okay. Grooming and Reviews asked, King, do you feel maybe that you were too young to be married at the time? Good question. Yes. Quite simply, yes. I think that people in their 20s don't know who they are. Even though I was in the military at the time and I did a lot of my growing up in the military, I didn't really understand my purpose and who I was until somewhere in my 30s. I think individually, it's better for people to know who they are by themselves before they introduce somebody into their orbit. Other people may not feel that way. Sean, how about you? Like, do you think that people in their 20s are old enough to make a decision about marrying somebody?
Well, here's what I would say. Because sure, are there people in their 20s that can handle marriage? Yes, but I couldn't sit here and say that everyone can handle it. I would say most can't. I know a few couples that they got together when they were in their 20s and they're still together. They're still married. Still have a couple. They have a couple of kids now. Have they had tough times? Sure, I'm sure they have. They haven't told me about it, but what relationship's perfect? But they're still together, making it work. But there's also I know people in their 20s who got together that didn't last. Excuse me, didn't last past a year or two. And you could kind of tell that was a bad idea. But you can't tell certain people some things.
Oh man, there's this thing called barracks love in the military, and you can spot it. Those that get together because they're young and infatuated. I want to say the average time is 2 years because the average enlistment is 4 years. And for the people that have that barracks type love situation, they typically last half of that enlistment. It's the funniest thing to see because now that I'm older, I can look back and see, and I can almost spot and tell now. I know somebody who recently got married, and without knowing them to, I'm just like the over or under on that is 3 years plus or minus 1 year. If I'm wrong, hey, I wish them well. Much congratulations. But after seeing the data, uh, seeing the results in person, the ones that do last are few and far in between. There's another comment before we get back into what Steve said. King and me, we both know somebody that's married for over 20 years and they make it work somehow. Yeah. Sean, like me, both know people as well as you, grooming and reviews, that have, stood the test of time. 20 years is a long time. 10 years, when you look at modern marriages and stuff now, is a long time. Mine lasted 14, man. It was a good run while it lasted. I say the new barometer is 20 years. I think that with how modern marriages and stuff is now, if you can make it to 20, that's considered a milestone. I don't think I could respect anybody's that didn't see 15. To me, oh man, that's nothing. 15 years, hit me up when you see 20. If you decide to do some type of recommitment thing, I might just show up for it. All right, let's play the video.
Happens to when the woman tell you, I don't need a man, Steve?
Well, they need to what? Okay, if you don't, how that's working? How that's working? Who don't need no man?
I'm independent. I can do for myself.
Yeah, but why do you want to?
Okay. We have to pause this. Fair use. We have to pause this so that we don't get any type of copyright strike. So right there, Shannon said, well, Steve, what do you say to the women specifically? I'm independent. I don't need no man. I heard a conversation in which somebody said, if you're independent and you want to be bad all by yourself, that's fine if you don't have kids. And I agree with that. Matter of fact, it was Lady Di, who's live right now, dating to marriage support. Lady Di was on a panel and she said, hey, look, if you single and you want to be independent, say that you don't need no man, okay, that's cool. With the way equality is now, you can certainly do that and life won't be stressful. But when you have the people that are out here with more than one kid by Pookie and Ray Ray, and that person has no intention of being in that person's life, you've just made your life more difficult by being a single mother, independent, and don't need no man.
Right. Yeah. So, I often take trying for my words here, but it's because Steve Harvey, I can tell he's a good dude at his core. Someone you probably look up to as an uncle or something like that. But the thing is, he panders to his women audience so much, so much. And the funny thing is that I just don't get is that the women don't see it. They, I've seen some of his clips. Kind of, I'm not home to watch his shows, but whenever he says something, they're always like, "Yes, yes, yeah, go ahead, Steve," and this and that. I'm like, none of y'all question this at all. Like,
Mhm.
you look at the audience. There ain't no men in the audience. If there are, it's like four men and what 60 women.
And they're probably there supporting their lady. Like, ain't no single dude like, you know what, man? I'm gonna go see the Steve Harvey show.
Mhm. They balls is probably in the wife's purse. That's why they're there, you know. But like I said, he gives good advice. Well, no, I'm saying he's capable of giving good advice, but
Mhm.
he's definitely pandering to women so he can keep getting paid. And I'm not mad at that, But I do wish he would come out and be like, you know what? Yeah, I say these things because women need to hear it, and when women hear it, I get paid.
Okay. Oh, God happened to me. Hey, we got the ladies in here commenting. She said, I question what Steve Harvey says. It says, I'm not taking dating advice from somebody who has been divorced 3 or more times. Like, what are you going to advise me on, Steve? How to select a divorce attorney? Hold up. I don't know if y'all can hear the clapping sound.
But you know what?
Fantastic.
You know what I mean? Experience is still experience, even if that experience came to a fault or came to a failure. So even though he's been divorced 3 or 4 times, I mean, like that's basically someone who probably might have like the inside track on what you want to hear, what you need to know, because
Mhm.
he's saying what I did failed, and then I tried it again, and then it failed again. I got back up, brushed myself off, and I learned from those last 2 times. Let me try the third time. And I guess he's on marriage number 4 right now. I don't know why. I hope he's got a hell of a prenup, an ironclad, gold titanium alloy, orbiting around in space prenup, because he's worth a lot of money, and he's got how many kids does he have? Plus the kids he's adopted.
Yeah, he has a few. I know he has 1 or 2 biological, and then the one that's in the news that everybody knows about, who has his last name, but is not
Hmm.
biologically his, is Lori Harvey.
Yeah, and I'm waiting. I think there's a part in this video that we're showing that I'm waiting to talk about Lori Harvey, because if it's in here, it's something else I want to bring, but it's very important.
Okay. All right. And prior to going on to the rest of this video, in the whole clip in which Shay Shay and Steve's having this conversation, he spent a pretty good time talking about his current wife. Like, he bigged her up, and salute to him for doing that. I'm not going to say I'm going to question his intentions for doing it. She seems like she really lifts him up. And if I understand it correct, she's a double back, or she might have been one of the mistresses. The way he talks about his first wife was like she was just bad. He had nothing nice to say about her. But then the second wife, he said, he was the one that kind of messed up some things and stuff like that. But if I'm hearing what the streets is saying,
Mhm.
that this wife is the mistress of, while he was married to somebody else. But this is the one that's been, I don't know if it's his longest, but it's definitely seeming like the one that's working.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, okay, you can drop a transmission. You can sandblast your house. But hell, do you want to?
No.
If somebody could get out there and drop this
I don't
transmission for
either.
you and sandblast your house, why don't you go get your nails done? I'm not trying to reduce a woman to nothing else. Be all you can be. But damn, who don't need a man?
Okay. All right. Like I said, we have to pause this a couple of times for fair use purposes so we don't get that copyright strike. So Steve was saying, you go be a woman. I'm going to be a man and allow you to be a woman. You don't need to be strong and independent. Do you think that that's the right message?
Yeah, I do. 'Cause I still do believe in gender norms. I'm not saying that we need to stick to or adhere to every single gender norm. There's some that are interchangeable, maybe even all are interchangeable. But I mean, whoever I get with, if they're expecting me to be the breadwinner, I'm expecting to take care of the home, take care of the kids, you know, because you can't expect me to be out there doing the breadwinner, come back home and cook and clean and take care of the kids. What are you doing all day? So if you're expecting someone to, like he said, drop the transmission and change, your transmission out, or power wash your house, it probably isn't going to be your wife. She's gonna be looking to you to do that. What's basically worked for my parents' household, my dad took care of the outside of the house, my mom took care of the inside of the house, but they both also worked full time. So it wasn't like, one of them was doing more than the other. They shared the load that helped would pertain to their specific skill sets, basically. And it wasn't that my mom couldn't do outdoors work. I mean, she could, she just didn't want to. So my dad did it. So
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Let's continue. Oh, actually, let's see if we got any comments here before we go on. God happened to me to one of the earlier points said, right, Sean, but if you're pandering to women, I don't think you can be divorced that many times. Obviously, you didn't do all of those things to those exes. Good point. Good point.
Those women aren't complaining though. They're still listening. They're still clapping it up.
That's a lie. What man don't need a woman? I tell you what. Try to live without them. Try to live your life without women. This ain't about la-da-da, man. This some bullshit without women. If it wasn't for women, what would you? Aristotle Onassis said it best. He said, if women did not exist, all the money in the world would have no meaning.
I mean, is that a bad thing? Sorry.
I mean, here's the thing though. I mean, like, men can get on without women. Do we want to? No. But we can get along just fine without them. Oh boy, gonna try not to get crucified on this.
Uh-oh. I feel a shortcoming.
Yeah, but, nah, don't make a short out of this, please. But because you know what?
No, okay. All right, I promise.
I don't believe that.
I promise. Hey, Scout's honor. My word is my bond.
All right, got you recorded here. So the thing is, we don't need women for anything, really. I mean, if you think about it, we really don't. We're self-capable. We have the muscle strength and the bone density to get heavy lifting done. We're ingenuitive, and we will do what needs to be done to get the task handled. But the thing is, women have physical limitations. Now, while we like to say that men and women are the same, but they're also different. Now, like I said, do I want to live in a world without women? Heck no, definitely not. I don't want to be around a bunch of dudes. No, thank you. But there's a show called Why the Last Man, where basically all the men on Earth die. It actually was a comic book first, and they turned into a TV show. And I watched the first couple episodes. And for a while, the women are kind of handling things, but after a while, things start slipping because energy grids start going offline, dams start breaking, and it basically starts looking like The Walking Dead, you know? And that's kind of what would happen because the thing is, there's so many women that aren't in um, leadership positions as far as infrastructure goes. They're in leadership positions as far as politics go, but how far is politics going to go to keep your lights on? How far is someone in politics going to go to keep the water flowing and electricity flowing? So the thing is, the man workforce that we have takes care of the infrastructure to keep things moving.
So to make sure that I heard that right, it's like why, like the question why, why the last man?
No, why? Why isn't the letter? Because XY chromosome.
Okay. So
Yeah.
why the last man? I'm putting this down in my phone. Why the last man? I'm interested to check that out. To me, like that type of stuff is fascinating. One of the things that Kevin Samuels talked about when just kind of highlighting gender dynamics was the survival, right? There was an episode of Survivor where they had put all the men on one island, put all of the ladies on the island. And when the man got put on the island, like they built stuff. They went into instant survival mode. Hey, this person's good at this. Let's have him do this. This person's good at that. Let's have him do it. And look, when you're part of a new team, right?
Mhm.
There's the foreman, storming, Norman, performing, and adjoining. This is me teaching here. We teach over here at TDG, so when you get new people together, there's obviously a learning stage that everybody has to have. You have to understand the dynamics of people, understand their strengths, weaknesses, and how to communicate to each other. I think guys figure that out fairly fast. There's going to be people that are going to try to position themselves to be top dog and stuff like that, but naturally things settle and find itself in whatever right way that it needs to do, and guys are results oriented, aka get shit done. In the same episode structure, when all of the ladies got on the island, they got so far behind. And these were very capable ladies. Like some of these ladies, look, I'm just gonna front. Put King in a jungle and give me a stick. Some of them ladies gonna outlast me.
He'll be dead tomorrow.
Let me just say that right now. I'm not the ultimate survival person. There are definitely ladies that are better equipped at me than surviving, but we're talking in broad in general,
You don't
right?
see ants carrying King's carcass off.
It's so I'm with you. It's like, could I do it? Yes. Would I want to? No. Right?
Mhm.
I went through a period and I called it monk mode, where for me, some of my issues and problems resulted from me, but it was also like the chase. And I likened it to like a vampire, like how a vampire had to have blood, right? To survive, to be normal. I was out, chasing women, and I like that rush. I like the hunt of it, I like the fun and going out and doing all this other stuff. But man, I wasn't in the right place that I needed to be. I spent way too much energy expending for that chase instead of really working on myself. So I took myself off the market, man, went straight monk mode, wasn't studying women. I had people flirting with me. I just look at them and hey, all right, deuces. And it was an improvement. That being by myself taught me that I can be by myself if I choose to. And it was peaceful and I loved it. And when I quote unquote got through that monk mode period, man, things was just different. The attraction that I found that people had for me was different as well too. Like it it wasn't easy to see once I got through that period.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't
All right.
difficult to see is what I meant to say. So yeah, so kind of what Steve said. I mean, I disagree with that. I think, guys could, but most wouldn't want to.
Right.
God happened to me
Women are a
says,
beautiful thing.
say it, Sean.
Women are a beautiful thing.
don't be hesitant. Don't be say it.
Not at all.
Dog, women is everything. They'd catch me out. They'd lick, man. But these young boys done forgot it because these women out here, they've had to be independent because they ain't got the right man.
Okay.
But this system of marriage is still good.
Okay.
This system of a man taking care.
Pause.
Uh-oh.
There it is. I was also looking for.
Okay.
It's funny he says that basically that women have to work to find a good man. But let's look into the news a couple of months back, not far back, of a young black actor named Michael B. Jordan. And who was Michael B. Jordan dating? None other than Lori Harvey. And as far as you know of Michael B. Jordan, upstanding young brother, I watched a video where he some girl from his past basically kind of did what other women do. Even before he became big, they were kicking together, stuff like that. They weren't official, nothing like that, but they were kicking together. And it seemed like he wanted to make her his girl, or be serious with her, but she wasn't taking him serious. So he basically cut her off real quick. Then he started to get big, and she tried to pop back up and explain herself. It's a good story though. She wasn't a bad person if what her story was true. She said she experienced seizures, and the night she was supposed to hang out with him, she had a seizure, and she was embarrassed and didn't want to tell him, but she also didn't call him to let him know that she had a seizure. Um,
Mm.
and before, and that was he basically told his boys like, look, can't hang out with you tonight. Hang out with this girl. We're gonna kick it. Blah blah blah.
And then she
So
ghosted him, but he didn't know why. That's interesting. Wow.
right, yeah.
I
So
never
and the
heard
thing
that.
is that apparently she still has never told him that. Now it's out there on the internet. Maybe he'll see it, but I would be like, King, if you knew someone who was actually filming in Hollywood, even if they were small peanuts, don't you think you'd still tell them about
Yes.
your actual issue that happened that you couldn't see them and you were, close?
Yes, but that's the type of person that I am too. Like, I don't like leaving things unsaid. I had somebody leave something unsaid with me, and I circled back, ooh, maybe 15 years later, because I was curious and I asked her, right? Because this was something that happened in high school. I still didn't get the answer. I still didn't get what was the thing that caused her to go, yeah, I'm done. Because we had made plans. We had been talking. She was from another country. Things was good. She left. I'm like, all right, see when you get back. This was pre like internet days where you couldn't just pick up a phone and FaceTime somebody while they were in countries apart, or send them a WhatsApp message, but we were emailing each other. And about a week prior, we was like, hey, looking forward to getting back. There was this event that I had invited her to. She said she was down. I show up to her house to pick her up for the event. She broke up with me right then and there. Now, there were no scandalous stories of me because your boy was not a scandalous person. So her reason for saying something 7 days prior, and then going completely cold. To this day, I have no idea what the real reason was. And I was curious and I tried to ask her that because we weren't friends or anything. Her sister had stayed in contact. And I said, hey, so what happened back then? I'm like, look, I know we're in different places now, but I'm curious. What was the reason? Never told me.
I'd be interested to know too, but it seems like it's something that some women, some people, they do. They don't give you a reason. And the thing is, you can tell them, like, look, I'm not gonna be mad. I just want to know the reason why it didn't work out or why it didn't show up or why you canceled. But for whatever reason, they won't tell you.
Yeah,
Um,
I was like, what happened? And she said something, but it was a whole lot of nothing,
mhm.
and she didn't like go on with it. But what she said was very, I just recall at the time, it was a very clear, succinct thing she said. It was nothing that you did, that was so long ago. I honestly forgot about it. And I'm like, okay, sure you did.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. But same with Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan. Steve Harvey saying that basically you just got to be a good dude and you'll get yourself a good woman. But this good woman is under his tutelage, you could say. And what does she do? If I remember correctly, she left him because he was boring or something like that. I don't remember the
Basically,
exact reason.
that-
Yeah. So,
that's a good paraphrase. She called him
mhm.
boring.
And I think I heard or read something that Steve Harvey even said that he was kind of rooting for Michael B. Jordan. And then you see what his own, it's not his blood, but it's under his house, has his name, is getting some of his money. And I think he's putting her onto some kind of Hollywood. Actually, she's dating so many Hollywood dudes. I mean, she's kind of just running through them. And it's just like, there is your example right there of modern day women and modern day dating. I would love, you know what? There was a show that came on years ago that Ice Cube did. It was called Black and White, where there was a white family and a black family. And people will say this show was racist. I don't care. At the time, it was pretty good. I liked it. But they used like movie makeup to change the white family to a black family and the black family to a white family.
I remember this now. Yes.
Yeah. So what I'd like to see is these celebrities or even Steve Harvey who's saying that, oh, you need to do this for women and you need to like just let her run over you. I want to see him, not put on white face, but some sort of makeup where you can't tell it's Steve Harvey, and him go out there and date, and him not tell these women that he is who he is and has the money he has, and see what kind of results he gets with his own advice. That's what I want to see.
True that. You know, you said something, and what I would like to see is somebody call in and ask Steve for advice, like a twist of what you just said. They call in to Steve, they ask for advice, they give the facts without no names, right?
Mhm.
They give the facts of the situation and ask for his opinion. But the facts are what Lori did to Michael B. Jordan. I'd be curious to see if they could rephrase it, if he would catch that was a similar, like that. Hey, hold on, y'all ain't finna get me. That's what Lori did, and uh, go PC with the answer, or if he would pander and do what I think he would do. Um, or go in if you were to ask him some advice about something. You make it, you don't throw names, but you give the example of what Lori did to Michael B. Jordan. I'm curious what Steve would say about that. So we got two things here that I think would be very interesting.
Yeah, so I think that before we get into the comments, but ooh, lost my thought. We'll come back to that.
All right. So let's get into the comments then. I know I could be long-winded. My bad.
That's
God
all right.
happened to me said, and hence why I say he's not in a position to offer advice. Multiple divorces and a daughter who does the exact opposite of what you're saying. Please hold both men and women accountable. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Did
so
you
I remember
find it?
now what it was. Yeah.
Hey, there we
So,
go.
so I got my card now. I'll be writing notes.
Nice.
But the thing is, the advice that Steve Harvey's giving is advice from a different time or a different era, basically. It's good
Mm.
advice. I'll give him that. But that era, there was a different type of woman back then that reciprocated, that appreciated the things that a man would do for her, the lengths that a man would go to. Now, I've never seen, other than in movies, a man put his coat down over a puddle of water so a woman could walk over it. Because the more I think of it, if you need to avoid a puddle of water, why am I putting my jacket into it? Just walk around it. This isn't Star Wars. Because you ever notice in Star Wars that all these ships will turn up to a planet on one side of the planet, and the good guys, or what we want to call it, when they need to escape, they always got to fly through the other ships. Why not just fly the other way? You know. But like I said, the advice is good, but it's for a different time, a time that's past.
It's interesting that you say that, because when you look at the original video on Club Shay Shay's YouTube page, a good bit of the comments also agreed with exactly what you just said. They said, hey man, like, Steve, it's not like it's bad advice, but these modern ladies, the younger generation out here, they don't operate like that. So it
Right.
really doesn't apply to them or the men that you're trying to get to act a certain way as well, because the dynamics of how things are operating is completely different. So it's funny that you highlight that, because other people in the comments also said the same thing.
Yeah, and 2023 woman speak, they don't know how to be poured into in that way. They don't know how to receive, that kind of courtship. What other kind of terminology can I use that they use all the time? Um, it's giving horny vibes when you do stuff like that.
Oh, keep going. That's a short.
That's all the ones I can think of right now, because there's so many of those whimsical bullshit terms that I'm just like, oh my god, when's it gonna, just kind of fizzle out?
All
I'm waiting
right.
for the day when it fizzles out.
Oh man, you're gonna be waiting a long time, man. Grooming and Reviews 101 said, I still open the door for a woman and buy flow because I want to, not because I have to. Hey, yes, like look, my lady can attest to the fact that not every time, it's not 100% of the time. I'm not gonna sit up here and say this. But for, sometimes when I go to the car door, I'll open hers and then walk around. And what she does to me is a good thing. Sometimes she don't do it every time, but for the most
Andy
part,
J.
she will reach over and open the driver
Andy
door
J. No.
from the inside. I didn't hit the first time. I caught it the second time. And I appreciate that. You know, there's some universal gentlemanly things that society expects men to do, depending on where you were raised and how you grew up. Some people still do that. Now, if I don't do it that one time, like her and I went out today, I don't think I got her car door once in the one or two times that we had the opportunity to. Is she going to view that as, oh, King's not a gentleman? Do I get demoted from my manliness because I didn't open her car door? That's a question for her. I don't feel that I should be demoted for something, you know, that I do or don't do. I have the basic stuff that I take care of, right? And if she wants to knock me down a peg because I don't do it every time, then I think that's a conversation that her and I need to have.
I mean, she got hands not broken.
God dang. Before we continue, if you have not hit that like button, scrolling across the screens are 4 words. Hit the like button.
Post haste.
Post haste. All
But
right.
to answer Grooming Review's question, no, I am not home yet. I'm still in my hotel room. As you can tell, this is not how I decorate. It's kind of drab in here, but actually it's better than my last hotel. I should be home hopefully this weekend. So
Yeah, man.
so hoping to get back this weekend and get back to work as far as working on TDG and getting things out on a schedule for everybody.
Hey, man, let me be on the road. Get some of that per diem, carpe diem. All right.
Right?
I'm not eating steaks like that until my birthday, but on my 39th birthday, August the 4th, your boy will definitely be digging into one of the biggest, juiciest steaks that I can find. God Happen to Me is my lady, for those of y'all that may not know. And she said, I think you're good, King. Shout out to you. All right. The video's almost done. Let's play the last couple of minutes and then we'll close out the show.
All right.
That's really how it's supposed to be. All the rest of it's bullshit, man. And y'all need to quit tricking yourself with this new way of thinking. Because this new way of thinking ain't getting y'all no damn where. I'm sorry. I got in trouble on one time. This group came after me because I said Marjorie belonged to me.
Ooh. Okay. He said Marjorie belongs to me. That speaks to ownership. What I heard, other people might translate differently, is that he's speaking as though he owns her. Now, I'm not a spiritual person. I grew up in the church, but that sounds like a Southern biblical spiritual way of how a relationship dynamic is. Does he also own his previous people that he was married to? Like, how does that work? See, this is the thing. This is why I don't like going down these type of rabbit holes, because I got questions.
I don't take it that way. The way I take it is, if you're in a relationship with somebody, especially if you're married, and you already have the set dynamic that there's not going to be any polyamory or any type ethically non-monogamous. Ooh, that's tough to say. There's none of that going on. Then yes, you do belong to me. But what he's also going to say, spoiler alert, that he belongs to her as well, which basically just means that, like, I am yours, you are mine. I expect you to stay here, do what I like, not in a slave type of mindset way, but in a relationship type of way, that we are together. There's no one else outside of us.
Okay, well then, yes, I 100% agree with that. 100%.
I think more relationships need that kind of way of thinking.
Yes, it is some Bonnie and Clyde type shit. You and me against the world. Like, I think it was Donnell Rollins. It was just you and me against the world. Okay, y'all didn't show up for my singing.
You do that.
Y'all didn't show up for my singing. Oh, come on, man. Hold up.
Channel with that.
Who else? Who else was it? Was it Tupac? No, it was Jay-Z and Beyonce. Bonnie and Clyde. There's a couple of songs out there. The point being, I agree with that mindset right there. I belong to you. You belong to me. No external forces need to really be up in this thing besides just you and me. And from a biblical perspective, people would say, you're right, it's God, man, woman. Like that's the
Child.
order. So
We were poured up.
I guess people from a biblical perspective would say no external forces except God, right? So let's see. Group in the review said, please stop, King. Don't sing. Y'all aren't here for King Smith's karaoke sessions? Y'all don't like the karaoke's?
Let's start a separate channel for that.
I will continue the karaoke's. God Happened to Me said, I agree with Sean. It's not a slavery thing, but a unity thing. The two become one and belong to one another. She also said, I support your singing. I just don't know if the world is ready for that level of talent and vocal.
I like how she uses her words.
The reason why that comment is good is because that could be this level, anywhere between, but we all know she means down here. That was a clever response, and I award you 2 points for that one. God Happened to Me. Let's see. We'll get into this other comment and then we'll continue with the video. Grooming and Review said that old school and is dead, and I hate to say it. Yep. All right, let's play the rest of this video. Check out the rest of the comments and give our thoughts.
And they say she's not a possession. She's a person. She's a human.
She is. She mine. What is you talking about?
Okay.
She belonged to me, but I got news for you. I'm hers.
Okay.
I belong to her. See, if you don't like that system, carry your punk ass on. Go do something else. And let me know how that work out for you. I want to belong to somebody.
Right.
All right. We have to pause it for the copyright stuff. I promise I won't sing, but I'm trying to introduce something new before we play. Do you have anything new to add? I think we're safe to play it now.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
I want somebody to belong to me. I take care of my wife and my family.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button.
Okay. All right. So, interesting part, man. That was only a 5-minute video, but it covered several points. That was less than a 5-minute video, actually, but we covered several points, and we're able to get on here and have a live for almost an hour. I was glad that you called me up about it. When I heard it originally on Club Shay Shay's YouTube channel, I said, here we go. I was like halfway asleep when I was listening to it, and I said, nah, man, I have to listen to this later in its entirety, because Steve said about 20, no, I'll go higher than that. About 40% of what Steve say, I rock with. The other 60%, it sounds like pandering to his market to me and not really genuine. You know, it sounds like something that works for him, you know, when you have the name of who you are and the network and net worth of being a Steve Harvey. Look, I know people of Steve's ilk. They're not as famous as him, right? But where they're at, they're the man. They're that old school, you know, they smooth talking, you know, never had a problem with getting ladies, but they've had a problem keeping them. You know what I'm saying? Because they just like, they're men that like being in the street, so to speak. And with how Steve is now, I think he's just kind of at that age to where he don't want to be in the streets. I think if he could, because of who he is, you know, he could go down. He talked about in Club Shay Shay about how Marjorie handles a lot of the finance stuff. He's like, I know what's there, but she handles that stuff. I want to say he talked about something that I've heard as well about like women multiplying what you bring in and everything like that. And I always question that because I'm like, you are already Steve Harvey. Like you're going to get the deals and things like that based off of your talent. I'm not saying that your lady can't help you, but it's like you are already Steve Harvey, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it just 40-60, 40% Yep, rock solid. It's like, yep, Steve, that's real good, man. You that is some uncle-y type of advice. I also had a lot of uncles that said, do as I say, not as I do, because they weren't really listening to their own advice.
I'm gonna be a little objective here, but
Ooh,
follow me. Follow me here.
all
Okay.
right.
I'm gonna say Steve's advice is 98% correct. Dot 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 dot. It's just the
However,
wrong time. It's just the wrong time for it. That's what it is.
mm,
Like I said, his device is golden, but it doesn't work for 2023. Not even a little bit.
okay.
So if it was 1950, 1940, maybe 1960, it would work then. It'd be good advice. Just isn't now. Times change.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you approximately 20 seconds to see if you could either add to that or give us viewers and listeners something to close out the show with.
It's that time again.
So remember the Alamo?
To do another one of our cute little skits?
No, it's time to learn the day's lesson. And to find out what it is, we turn to the Wheel of Morality. Wheel of Morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn. Moral number 3. And the moral of today's story is...
Moral of today's story is, if y'all need advice, come to TDG for it, not Uncle Steve.
Yeah.
And I also just want to remind everyone again at the end of the stream that we're all going to be starting up our live feeds again. They're coming up soon within the next month or two, and also street interviews. So if you don't subscribe and hit that bell, you're not going to know. You're going to miss out. You'll have to catch the shorts or catch us when we're big and famous. I don't know. But like I
Okay.
said, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog. Everyone, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That's all we
Tell
ask.
your pet lizard to hit that like button as well. All right, let's look at the comments and then we're going to end the stream. God Happened to Me said the issue is he dated in that 1950s time and has stayed there. All right. Yep. The women dated and married to also grew up during that time, and they support his logic. I'd be real curious to know, for somebody born in the 80s, I think you have to make that cutoff like 19. Yeah, I said like 1980, because that makes people around what, 43. So I'd be curious to see. Ooh, no, let's go a little bit younger. Let's say 90s. I'd be curious what people in the 90s would hear if they were to sit down, or what they would do if they were to sit down in a room with him and hear him give that same advice. Or actually, let's say hear him and his wife give that same advice. They don't know him. They don't know his history. I'm curious objectively how they would think about it. All right.
I'm going to laugh at him.
Grooming and Reviews said that, am I the only one? They did the old school with both side of the women and the men. Rephrase that because I didn't understand it. Let's see. Sean, you gave us our lesson for today. You said don't follow Steve, come follow TDG for that solid current dating advice. Absolutely. That's all I have. Looking at the comments, we are good on the comments. I would like to thank the people that popped up and rocked with us during the live stream, and the people that are also going to comment during the replay as well. We appreciate everybody. Be sure to stay tuned in. Oh, I think Grooming and Reviews. Let's see. He said the way that you dated back in the day without the net. Yep. That sounds like an episode. Dating back in the day, pre-internet. I know we've talked about it. We've talked about it before, how the internet and phones and dating apps have inflated people's perception of what their value really is. Just because you have 300 people swiping right on you doesn't mean that they're trying to come at you for anything long term. They're just trying to, for the most part, not everybody, try to slide them jaws. So it allows ladies, not all, but kind of the ones that we're a good enough bunch to think that they're higher on their S&V than what they are. But if you were to take those same people and put them in Miami, Ooh, we'll see how they rank then. Hey, and that goes for me too. Put me in Southern California at Muscle Beach. I'm not gonna get the same results. All right, Sean, man, this was fun. To the viewers and listeners, I'd like to say thank you. And we gonna have one of the finest outros play us out, y'all. Have a good night.
Yep. See you next time.
Let's get it. Shake it like understand who I is. Not that many gon' do it like this. Bob your head, you can hear my shit, but I'm on my shit. I have no chill, I'm who I are, I'm who I is. Taylor Susan, I play the part. Fuck a fire, how you mesmerize black Austin pies, man, that I'm stupid. Then again, oh so clever. On my loony boy, that lever. Talk my shit, I'm talking hell.